showing you guys how to make a beef Wellington. First thing you'll need is about 700 grams of whatever mushrooms you like. 3 pounds of prosciutto or perma ham. You don't need to get a whole pound because you only need about 8 slices to cover your whole beef tenderloin. Pastry, maybe about 1 or 2 sheets. I just grabbed 2. You can find this at Target. Mustard. You can use Dijon, but I was looking for English mustard and I just saw this one. This one looked really good. So oil to sear your beef tenderloin. Food processor, if you have one. It's better so you can blend the mushrooms because we're gonna be blending them and processing them to cook them. Of course, some garlic. Ingredient: filet mignon beef tenderloin, which was pretty expensive and actually hard to get. I wasted like half a gallon finding this in my car. Please wrap your filet mignon in plastic wrap, and basically you're just gonna tighten it. Just roll it until it gets that cylinder shape. Just roll it like that. Spin it around. That perfect cylinder shape. And put it in the fridge for 30 minutes. Need some garlic. Now we're gonna chop up our mushrooms. Chopped mushrooms and garlic into the food processor. Kosher salt and some black pepper. Blend. Ooh. Just gonna put a little bit more salt. Generous amount. Some pepper. And basically what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna cook it. Now the reason why we're gonna cook it is, as you can see, it's really wet. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cook out all that moisture so that when we cook the puff pastry, it doesn't get too wet inside of it and it becomes a soggy pastry. That's not what we want. Just heat our pan up pretty high. We want it hot so that it takes out all the water from the mushrooms. Split them out. See all that moisture? We're just gonna cook that out, all the water out. Mushrooms cooking, getting the moisture out. We could take off our filet mignon, let it rest room temperature, and yeah, just let that sit there for a while. Mushrooms out of the pan, let it rest on the plate, let it cool down. Coat our pan in olive oil, let it smoke up. Just wait till we see fumes, and then we're ready to put our filet. In the skillet, we're gonna season it with some kosher salt, generously everywhere. Make sure some pepper. Make sure you get that everywhere on each side. What you're gonna want to do is cook the filet mignon on all sides. Make sure it's brown everywhere. What we're not gonna do is we're not gonna fully cook it because the filet is gonna finish cooking in the oven once we're done wrapping it with all our meats and our mushrooms, the puff pastry. And that's how it's gonna be. What we also want to do is make sure we cook the butt ends of the fillet. So just right there. Look at that beautiful feel. That beautiful color. Alright, so what we're gonna do is immediately after we remove it, we're gonna get some mustard. Look at that. Get some mustard. We're gonna coat it in mustard. The whole thing, everywhere, each side. Some mustard. Coat it everywhere. Get every piece. What this does is it's gonna absorb that mustard because it's still hot, and when it's hot, it's gonna absorb it. It's gonna make it even juicier than what it is already. It's still not fully cooked, and that's what we're gonna do in the oven. We're gonna fully cook that. There you go. Nice amount. We laid our ham to about the size of how long it is. So we're just gonna lay that down, make sure it's good, nice, coated. Basically just that. We're just gonna put all this here, spread it out. All spread out. Right there. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna do like how we did last time. We're gonna roll it, make it tight, do a nice seal, and that'll be it. Now that we have our puff pastry, we're just gonna roll it out with the rolling pin. We're just gonna do that. Just spread it out as much as we can. Now that we have our puff pastry rolled out, we're gonna put our fillet on top. Before we close up our beef Wellington, we're gonna get some egg wash. Some egg wash on there. And we're gonna coat the sides. We're gonna make sure it's good and coated. Nice and coated everywhere. So that it closes tightly. We're gonna get that in every edge. Just like that. Now that we got it all wrapped up, just make sure everything's closed. You don't want any juices falling out of the pastry. Make sure your corners are good. Make sure that's nice and closed right here. And what we're gonna do again is we're gonna coat it in egg yolk again on top as well. So we're just gonna do that. Get it all there so we get that nice golden color when it's done. Someone that inspired me to make this is, of course, a lot of people know him. The best probably chef in the world himself, Gordon Ramsay. And I don't know, I'm just a big fan of him. I love watching his videos. He's like a funny chef, of course. Everyone knows that. He loves yelling. He's always yelling at people.
Oh, you'll dry the lamb out, you donut.
So I just had the idea of making this because of him. And this is it in the oven. I'm gonna do some little patterns on there. Just go like that. I'm not the best at it, but I'm learning. Just some little patterns on there. Before you put it in there, make sure you top it off with some kosher salt. We love kosher salt. Better than regular salt. And it's more crunchy. Put your beef Wellington in the oven. I'd say if you put it at 200 degrees, I do about 20 minutes, 300 degrees at 15 minutes, and 400 degrees at about 10, 12 minutes. There you go. Beef Wellington. I'm gonna cross cut it in a bit. The important thing to do is to let the beef Wellington rest for about 10 to 15 minutes before you cut it up. I forgot, but I mean, it's my first time making it, so yeah, just tips for next time.
We move too fast, it can slime me as ever. Life is too grimy, I watch for the devil. It's a Rolls Royce and it come with umbrellas. 2018 in that Porsche Corolla. Go your pouch. Rats in a quarter ounce. 2 accounts. Large amount. Shop around. Designer down. Dribble drown. Dribble drown. Killing me.